Hello everyone, welcome to our YouTube channel. So this video is in continuation with the last video in which we started with one case study on ITR 3. So in the last video, we covered all the sections related to PGPP and General Tab, and in today's video, we'll cover income under all the other heads and would most probably complete this question. So I would highly recommend you all to first visit that video and watch that video first before watching this, because that forms the base for ITR 3. The link of the same is can be seen in the description box, and you can also refer to Y button for that. So let's start. So today we would be starting with the income details of house property. Okay, so you all can see. Okay, so we are, I'm again repeating that we are continuing the same question. So you can download it from the description box itself. We'll share it again. All right. So you all can see that income details of the house property is given along with the details of the tenant. So let's jump over to the tab of house property. Yeah. So you all can see that address is given, share in the property is given, owner, the details regarding the owner, the type of house property along with the tenant, and the details, income details of the house property is given. So we'll start by filling them on this Excel utility. So address, it is given RA 1025, street number 10, Raja Garden, state, you have to select from this drop down list Delhi. Then pin code is given to be 110027. Share in property is 100%. Okay, so owner of the property, self. Is the property co-owned? No. So you all can see that it automatically becomes gray cells here the moment we selected no in the cell of is the property co-owned or not. Okay, so type of house property let out. So we have to mention the details of the tenant as well. So the name of tenant is Sunny Yadav, and the PAN of tenant is given. All right. So since the TDS has not been deducted on the rent, so it's not mandatory to write the PAN or TAN of the tenant here, because it's clearly mentioned that we have to mention these details only if TDS credit is claimed. But since it's given in question, we can mention it here. Yeah. So now let's come to income details of house property. So gross rent is given and standard rent is given. So obviously we will take gross rent, which is 48 lakhs, because standard rent defines the maximum rent which can be charged from tenant. So like in case gross rent would have been more than standard rent, then in that case standard rent would be taken as the gross rent received or receivable for the purpose of calculation of income tax. So 48 lakhs. Municipal taxes due and municipal taxes paid is given. So we have to make sure that we take the figure of municipal tax paid only. Because municipal tax due is not taken into consideration, we have to consider the figure of municipal taxes paid, and that too by the owner in the previous year only. Since nothing is mentioned, we'll assume that the municipal taxes have been paid by owner in the previous year only. So it is 1,40,000. Then interest on capital borrowed, yes, we can claim the deduction for the same. That is 2,50,000. Okay, so here comes our income under the head income from house property. That is 30,12,000. So we are done with this head as well. So now let's move on to the tab of capital gains. Yeah. So this sheet is quite heavy and comprehensive. So I would strongly recommend you to first go through all the tabs are given under this sheet and then start filling details. So first, the sections related to short-term capital gains is given, and then the cases related to long-term capital gains are given. Yeah, so before moving ahead, I would like to mention that in the given case study, it is mentioned that which is the long-term capital gain and which is the short-term capital gain. So in case it is not mentioned, you must know how to identify it. So it can be identified by comparing the date of transfer of asset with the date of acquisition of asset. Okay, so under short-term capital gain, we have sale of equity-oriented mutual funds. The cost of acquisition without indexation is given, obviously, since it's a short-term capital gains, therefore indexation benefit won't be provided, and expenditure regarding the sale is given. So let's start filling it. So you have to look at each and every row of this sheet very minutely. So this gain would come against point 3 from sale of equity share or unit of equity oriented mutual fund or unit of a business trust on which STT is paid under section this. So you can see the similar point against this second subpoint as well. But mind it is for FIIs, that is foreign institutional investors. Okay, so we have to enter the details very carefully. So full value of consideration is given to be 50 lakhs. Okay. Then cost of acquisition is given to be 42 lakhs. Then we have expenditure of 70,000. Yeah, so it will automatically calculate the short-term capital gain in this case. Now we have long-term capital gain in which sale of land is there. Then value of building as per stamp valuation authority is also given. Cost of acquisition without index is given, which means we have to ourselves calculate the indexed value, and then expenditure is given. Okay, so let's move ahead. So guys, this field is mandatory. You have to fill it accordingly. So since no amount has been transferred to the capital gain account scheme in our case, so we'll simply select not applicable here. So from here, it that is point B, the long-term capital gain, the cases regarding the same starts. Yeah, So you can see against point 1, that is from sale of building or land or both is mentioned. So we have to fill the details here only. So full value of consideration is 92 lakhs. Then we have value of building as per stamp valuation authority, 90 lakhs. So the most beautiful part of this ITR and particularly this section is that all the things are given and we just have to enter the value as it is. So in case you want to gain more insights about this transaction or the capital gain from sale of land in which the value of building as per stamp valuation authority is given, you can refer to section 50C. 50C talks about the same in the subsequent cases. And all the relevant sections which we'll discuss today and which we have discussed in the previous video, we have mentioned in the description box, so you can refer it from there for more clarity. All right, so in this case we just have to enter the amount since everything is given. So cost of acquisition without indexation. Okay, and year of purchase is this. CII for 1 or 2 is given. 2001, 2 is taken to be 100. Okay, so 2 lakh. So let's calculate the cost of acquisition. So it would be index cost of acquisition. So it would be cost, that is 2 lakh, into CII of the year of transfer, which is 289, divided by the CII of the year of purchase, that is 100. So it comes out to be 5,78,000. Okay, so before moving ahead, I would like to mention here only that in certain cases, the year of the CII for the current year, that is the CII of the year of transfer, might not be given in the question. So in that case, you have to refer to the table of indexation. So you can simply download it from the Google. It's easily available there. So for 1920, it's 289. So accordingly, the indexed cost of acquisition comes out to be 5,78,000. So we'll enter here 5,78,000. All right. Now expenditure is 1,50,000. Okay, so we are done with this also. Now the details of deduction under these sections is given. Okay, so amount invested in the bonds of various companies is given. So if you look at them carefully, you will realize that all these deductions refer to section 54 EC. So again, you have to refer to the provisions of this section in detail to get more clarity. So for the sake of this question, I would like to tell you that under section 54 EC, the deduction is given only when the amount is invested in the bonds of 4 specific companies, that is REC, NHAI, PFC and IRFC, only when the amount is invested within 6 months of the date of transfer of asset, and that too the total or the aggregate amount invested cannot exceed 50 lakhs. So let's analyze the situation here. So in this case, we all can see that in point 3, the date of investment is 14/12/2020, which is exceeding the 6 months from the date of transfer of asset. Right? So this is out of scope. Now talking about 1 and 2, the amount is invested within 6 months, okay, post condition satisfied, and the aggregate amount, that is 20 lakhs and 30 lakhs, is not exceeding 50 lakhs. So the total deduction which would be available for the long-term capital gain in this case would be 50 lakhs. So you all can see that deductions are mentioned here. So we have to write the amount of deduction here. Deduction in section 54 EC, 50 lakhs. Okay. And in case of transfer of immovable property, we have to furnish the following details as well. But in this case study, since the details are not given, we would simply left it blank, leave it blank. Okay, so the details of deduction need to be given below of the sheet as well. See what it is. Okay, so here since we haven't transferred any amount to the capital gain account scheme, so we'll select no here, or not applicable as the case may be. Okay, so we have to give the details of the deduction claimed under against capital gains here also. So we have claimed the deduction under section 54 EC. So date of transfer of original asset is 23/10/2019. Amount invested in specified bonds. Okay, so since we have invested in two bonds, so we'll give the details separately. REC. Okay, amount invested is 20 lakhs. Date of investment is 14/11/2019, and the amount of deduction claimed is entire amount. Then again, for investment of bonds in NHAI, this time we have invested 30 lakhs. The date of investment is 2012, and the amount of deduction claimed is 30 lakhs. Okay, so we are done with this. Now there is a small point, but yet the important one, which I am going to discuss now. So we have to mandatorily fill table F, that is information about accrual receipts of capital gain. So you all can see certain dates mentioned here. So it is nothing, it's just for the sake of collection of advance tax. So we just have to mention the date of transfer of capital asset according, like we have to select at in which slab would the date of transfer of capital asset would fall. Okay, so like in short-term capital gain, the date of transfer is 28/9/2019. So which will fall in the slab of this from 16 September to 15 December. And we have to choose the type of capital gain accordingly. Okay, so it will come against short-term capital gain taxable at the rate of 15%. We have to enter the amount of short-term capital gain here, which is 9,30,000. You can refer to this amount from above or from CYLA BFLA tab. This short-term capital gain taxable at the rate of 15%. So this sheet or tab gives the details or the summary of all the incomes under various heads. And likewise, we have long-term capital gain taxable at the rate of 20%, 34,72,000. 34,72,000, which will also come here and against 0.6. 34,72,000. Right. Because the date of transfer of asset is 23/10, which would fall in this tab only, in this slab only. Yeah. So now we are done with capital gains as well. So now let's move to another head, that is income under head other sources. So let's jump over to other sources tab. Okay, so the first one is gift received from father. So since we all know that the father comes under under the definition of relative, particularly for the purpose of gift, and any gift from relative is not taxable according to the provisions of Income Tax Act. Therefore, this transaction would not be taken into account. Now, the second one is bank saving interest. As per interest certificate issued by bank, so it is given to be 60,000. So it would come here 60,000. Okay. So whenever you see this transaction of bank saving interest, so you have to identify whether a person is a senior citizen or a normal citizen or a super senior citizen according to his date of birth. Since date of birth is 10/12/1918, so Ashu Kumar Sharma is normal citizen because still he is less than 60 years of age, which means that the provisions of section 80TTA would apply for deduction. Alright, so and the maximum deduction allowed is 10,000 in this case. So if we go to chapter 6A, this one, so 80TTA interest in saving bank account in case of other than resident senior citizen, and 80TTP is for resident senior citizen. So we'll enter 60,000 here. You all can see that a deduction of only 10,000 is given because it is the maximum amount of deduction which is available under this section. Okay, so now let's move to OS tab. The next one is fixed deposit bank interest. Net value after TDS of 10%. Okay, so interest is given by bank on fixed deposit, which is 1,80,000. So first of all, it is net of TDS. So we have to find out the gross amount since 1,80,000 forms 90% of the total amount. So total amount would be 2 lakhs, out of which 20,000 is deducted as TDS. So the details of TDS we'll enter in a separate tab a few minutes later. So we'll enter the gross amount here against point second 2 lakhs. Okay. Now aggregate value of sum of money received without consideration. So again, since this amount is exceeding 50,000, so it would be taxable and the entire amount would be taxable, not just the difference between 50,000 and 75,000. The entire 75,000 would be taxable according to the provisions of gift. So 75,000. Okay, so now the next is winning from lotteries 10,000. So winning from lotteries, it would come here 10,000. Done. So we are done with this tab as well. So now next is information regarding investment under section 80C to 80U. So we have to go to chapter 6A for that. Yeah, so investment under equity linked savings scheme till this, that is till end of the previous year. And investment under ELSS during this to this. Okay, so we'll enter yes here because it's clearly mentioned in the question that we have done certain investments in the next financial year as well, but before the due date of filing of return of income for that previous year, and we want to claim deduction of the same. So we'll enter yes here. Okay. Now, investment under ELSS 55,000 and 95,000. So it comes out to be 1,50,000. Okay, so it comes under section 80C and the maximum limit for deduction under the same is 150,000 only. So the entire would come here, entire amount would come here 1,50,000. Then next we have medical insurance premium of self and family. So it comes under section T, 80D. So there is a separate tab for the same 80D. Since the medical insurance premium is taken for self and family, so we'll enter not claiming for parents, and whether you or any of your family members including parents and senior citizen, no, we just looked at that. And we are spending for medical insurance premium 30,000. Yeah, so you all can see that since the maximum amount of reduction available is 25,000 in case a person is normal citizen, so the eligible amount of deduction is taken to be 25,000 only, though we have spent 30,000. All right. So you can see that it would automatically come there under chapter 6A. Yeah. If you will click on this, you will be directed towards that sheet only. So now we have spent 10,000 on new pension scheme as well. So new pension scheme comes under section CCD. Amount is 10,000. So it is CCD 1, 10,000. So since the combined limit of section 80C, 80CCC and 80CCD1 is 150,000 only, and the entire 150,000 has been claimed by way of ELSS, therefore no deduction with respect to 10,000 would be available. So now we have donation to political party in Delhi, 70,000. So we have 80 GGC donation to political party, 70,000. Their interest paid on loan taken in respect of higher education of assesslee's brother dependent. So deduction would be available under section 80E, 82,000. Now the last we have donation to Prime Minister National Relief Fund by check. Okay. So there is a entirely separate tab for the same donation to Prime Minister National Relief Fund. It comes under 80G. So first things first, the most important thing under 80G which we need to identify is that the donation comes under which slab. Like there are 4 slabs. One is which in in first, the donations are entitled for 100% deduction without qualifying limit, and there is a whole comprehensive list of donations which comes under this area. Then we have donations entitled for 50% deduction without qualifying limit. Then we have donations entitled for 100% deduction subject to a qualifying limit, and donations entitled for 50% deduction subject to qualifying limit. So we have to study it first, that donation to PM and RF would come under which head. So in this case, we don't have to worry because it comes under category A, that is donation entitled for 100% deduction without qualifying limit, which means that the entire amount which we have donated can be availed as deduction. Okay, so here we have to mention all the details regarding the donee and the amount. So let's start. Address is South Block, New Delhi, and the name of donee. So we'll enter PMNRF, Prime Minister National Relief Fund. Address South Block, City New Delhi, State Code Delhi, PIN code 110011. It should be of 6-digit only. PAN of donee AAATP 4637 Donation, since nothing is mentioned, we'll assume that donation in other mode is given, 2,50,000. And you can see that the entire amount of donation become applicable in this case. Okay, so now we are done with deductions as well. So now the next part comes of information regarding advanced tax and self-assessment tax. So you will find the relevant tab here, that is IP. So we just have to enter the details as it is here. So DSR code, date of deposit, serial number of challan, and amount rupees. Okay. So let's start. DSR code 0000754. Date of deposit 30/11/2019. Serial number of challan 00041. Amount 40,000. Then we have DSR code, date of deposit, serial number of challan 00088, and the amount is 12,000. Done. So now let's look at what is left. Okay, so information regarding TDS is left. So let's fastly complete that as well. TDS right next to it. Okay, so information regarding TDS is given. So the TDS has been deducted by tenant and by bank. Okay. So since the TDS has been deducted by tenant as well, which was not mentioned above, so first we'll go to the tab of house property. And okay, we'll enter the PAN here because TDS has been deducted. Ideally, it should come there only. Okay, so let's move to TDS tab. Yeah. Okay, so please verify the TAN details and the amount of credit available in your Form 16 and 26 AS. So, so Form 16 talks about the detail of tax deducted at source from salary. Since we don't have any tax deducted from salary, so we'll enter nothing here, we left it blank. The details of tax deducted at source on income as per this. So other than salary, on whatever income TDS has been deducted, the details of the same would come here. 16A. Alright. So TDS relating to self, other person. And guys, mind it. The fields or the columns which are shaded red are to be mandatorily filled. If we won't fill that, then the Excel utility will not calculate tax. So we have to make sure that we fill all the details which are mentioned in red letters. So cell, tan of the deductor, okay, DELS 12345 E, then claimed in own hands 4,80,000. Then gross amount gross amount of the corresponding receipt offered. That is how much rent we have received. So we'll look at the question for that. So gross rent received was 48 lakhs. So we'll enter the amount 48 lakhs. And head of income is from house property. Now we have one more TDS detail, cell, TAN of the bank, done, claimed in own hands 20,000. Then we have income at the head other sources. Okay, so we have entered the TDS details as well. So now we are done with the question, but there are certain minute things left. So let's start from the beginning. So before clicking on calculate tax, you have to make sure that you first of all you have filled all the mandatory details. Then these are quantitative details. In case it is given in question, we just have to simply write the amount here as it is. Then in case unabsorbed depreciation is given in question, we have to write the amount and it would be allowed in this previous year accordingly. Then we have exempt income. So in case we have any exempt income given into question, it will be entered here. So in some cases, asset liabilities at the end of the year, which is being held by a SECI is given, so we have to enter the amounts accordingly. Since it's a sample question, therefore certain important things and relevant things are being discussed here. So yeah, so it is possible that the details regarding the GST is given. So we just have to enter the GSTIN number here along with the annual value of output supplies and we done with this sheet. then verification. Alright, we'll come to verification. There is one DI tab. So remember we have selected yes, that we have uh, invested additional amount under ELSS from the end of the financial year, but before the due date of filing of return. So this sheet is asking that whether you want to claim the deduction of the amount invested during that period in this previous year only or the upcoming one. So we'll assume, since nothing is mentioned, that we want to claim the deduction in this previous year only. So you all can see that eligible amount of deduction during financial year 1920, this, and deduction attributable to investment expenditure made between this. See, 1/4/2020 to 31/7/2020. If we enter 0 here, then the deduction regarding the investment done during this period would be available in the upcoming assessment year and not in this assessment year. Okay. Since we want to claim deduction in this year only, so we'll enter the amount where we'll enter 95,000 here, because out of 150,000 only 95,000 was invested during this time period and the remaining was invested before the end of the financial year only. So we need to mention 95,000 here. Okay, so we are done with this as well. We need to enter. Okay, so now we are left with verification. So it will automatically come here. We have to mention the father's name in this case. Since nothing is mentioned, we'll assume it on our own. Ravi Kumar Sharma. And I further declare that I am making returns in my capacity as self. Okay. Okay, so one important point which I would like to discuss here is that the ITR sheet automatically picks up the date. So like 11/5/2021. And since the due date of filing this return has already been passed, so the Excel utility will automatically calculate the charges or fees of delay in the returns. Like if we go to part B, TI, TTI, that is total income, total taxable income. Okay. So if we press on calculate tax button, it will automatically calculate the interest or the late fee charges here. So due to which the solution might differ. So, but no problem, you can add this amount and can add to the final tax liability to get the correct solution, right? To match the solution. Okay, and the final solution will be shared with you in the description box. You can match the answer from there. So now we are left with only one thing, that we have to calculate tax and we have to generate Excel. So we have entered all the details which were there in this case study, and this brings us to the end of this question. Yeah. So this brings us to the end of this video. Hope you must have liked it, and I would like to reiterate once again that this final solution to this case study would be shared in the description box. You can cross-check your answer from there, and in case it doesn't match or you have any doubt, feel free to ask us. You can post your queries in the comment section. We would be more than happy to answer. and uh, the links for our social media handles is given in the description box. Follow them for more updates, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe. In case you want us to discuss any other ITR or the related concept, you can let us know as well. You can let us know that as well. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to share, like and subscribe.